Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Tuesday. This is Game Day Live, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio Studios inside the bunker in beautiful New Jersey and Chicago, Illinois in that bunker. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network as the Devils take on the Carolina Hurricanes tonight in Raleigh, North Carolina, also known as South Jersey. Yes, I don't know if you knew about that, Vinnie, but a lot of people from New Jersey have relocated to Raleigh, North Carolina just because of, taxes, cost of living, possibly weather. But a lot of those fans that have relocated are still New Jersey Devils fans at the Triangle in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah, I have picked up over the years that a lot of New Jersey folks relocate to North Carolina. You know, where I come from in Illinois, there's a couple places that Illinois people commonly move to. Arizona is one of them. Florida is one of them. And I know New Jersey and Illinois actually have Florida in common in that sense. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I hope there are lots of Devils fans at, what are they calling it these days? Is it PNC Arena? I'm hoping that they're able to get a big win tonight. That would be a big test. Carolina's been one of New Jersey's bugaboos over the last 3 or 4 years since the Devils kind of started to rise up and continue their rebuild into what they've become. Carolina, it looks like a roster that could take a step back, but they've only played one game and they got shellacked. I do find it very funny. And listen, my thoughts and prayers are with everybody in Tampa that has dealt with Hurricane Milton and Helene over the last handful of weeks. But, I mean, I think anybody, even those impacted by the Hurricanes, would find a little humor in the fact that the Hurricanes played the Lightning to open the season, and they had 2 games canceled. So Carolina's only played 1 game so far. The 2 teams named after weather were impacted by it, which is objectively funny. But, yeah, we'll see how it goes with the Devils playing their 6th game and Carolina only playing their 2nd. It's one of the weird quirks in the schedule, plus the effects of the Hurricanes, the real Hurricanes.
I remember years ago, I would yell at Caniacs. You know those Caniacs out there?
Oh,
that your
the
team,
jerks.
Yeah, your team name offends me. This is before the jerks. I'm talking like years ago when they just moved from Hartford down to Carolina, and I think it was maybe in back in those days when Scott Stevens was like taking out the entire team, like Shane Willis and Ron Francis, and the fans would get so offended, by it. But yeah, that's my little stupid thing. But I'm reading the comments in the YouTube Live. This is amazing, and we're only 6 games in. Michael Rosenswag says, LGD, hello everyone. I'm listening to the live cast, but I'm biking home from work, so no comments from me. Interesting. That's the first one. Is it a bicycle or a motorcycle? I'm assuming it's a bike.
He also lied. Because, you just commented, so there are comments from you.
Well, we are the most commented podcast in the history of New Jersey Devils podcast. Like other podcasts may have better rankings, better ratings, more downloads, more views, or whatnot. But nobody comments like our fans, because everyone's got something to say. So, also, Greg Zito, let's go Devils, and please avoid any Girl Scouts at all costs. I'm worried about Sam. There's nothing to worry about here. I only antagonize Girl Scouts outside of New Jersey, not inside New Jersey. Right now we're inside New Jersey. I leave the Brownies alone. There was a pun in there, somewhere in there. Anyway, see, and Davey, I also see the 2025. You know about the whole 2025 shtick, right?
Which one?
It was a Devil's After Dark, or maybe it wasn't even called Devil's After Dark back in those days. It was about 4 years ago. The Devils got shellacked, like, I don't know, 13-2. I forgot what it was. They got crushed. And here Scotty and I were like, all right, it's the same old story. The Devils don't play team defense. They don't do this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Scotty, you were preaching to the choir about this young prospects and all that. At this rate, we're not going to win the cup till 2025. And then back then it was like 2021 or even 2020 or even 2019 for that matter. And then it just stuck. And now we're here. We're nearing 2025. And I'm a little worried about that prediction because my whole reputation is I'm betting on this team 4 years ago.
Well, I certainly remember the whole 2025 thing with our prediction from a couple years ago. And we were like, well, why wait till 2025? Let's win in 2024. And then last year happened. But this team, they're good. If they're in the contention for 2025, there's no doubt in my mind they're one of the 5 or 6 best teams in the Eastern Conference right now.
Yeah, I'm also reading some of these comments right now. The PNC is now Lenovo. Livono or Lenovo? Michael Rossi. I'll have to check that out because all these sponsorships, we can't even keep up with arena names. Brooke Amanda, I missed the eye candy of GDL Shorts guy. What, you don't think Vinnie and I are eye candy? Come on. I know Vinnie is, engaged right now, and I know I'm married, but we still got it,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to consider you eye candy, Vinnie.
Likewise, Sam. You are very handsome.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Could you tell Mrs. Wu that?
I would absolutely tell Mrs. Wu that. I actually had the fortune of having dinner with you and Mrs. Wu last season, and it was one of the funnest weekends of my life. Sam, you know how I feel about you. I think you're handsome. I think you're a great friend. We were very good friends before we even met each other in person.
Yeah.
So I think you're handsome, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Tom, I'm telling you, I have a lot of respect for Tom in the YouTube Live. A, he gives away tickets to the podcast.
Sure.
B, he solved the bunker issue when there was water leaking in the bunker. The bunker is supposed to be still here after God forbid, a nuclear holocaust or big storms, whatever. There's going to be always the Devil's Podcast, no matter what. This bunker is safe. But there was a leak in the bunker. But it was Tom that figured out how to stop the leak. So we're going to start plugging his business. The only problem with Tom is he usually rats me out and tells Beer Baron what I say when he's not on there, when we trash him. So we'll have to work on that. This is turning ugly.
There's a game to be played today, Sam.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. See, this is called stall tactics, Vinny, because people are still filing in, watching. So I kind of watch the numbers as it grows on all the platforms. It's right. And then once you hit that sweet spot, then we can get to the game. Just want to welcome all those tuning in as they're filing in right now. Go to joinourcrew.com. Again, joinourcrew.com. Get the latest updates about the podcast because we're going to be doing we're big staging it on Saturday before the Devils take on who are they playing Saturday? I forgot. Jeez.
I know through Thursday. Who is Saturday?
Who is Saturday?
Because Thursday is the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah.
And
Capitals.
then Saturday,
Capitals
it's Washington at home.
Yeah. All right. Duh. Just a brain fart there. All right. So, Carolina Hurricanes. A lot has happened. it's an interesting team, to say the least. So they re-signed Rod Brindamore. It was about security. It's about money. I didn't think that Rod Brindamore would go anywhere. According to the conspiracy theorists, Beer Baron, thinking, okay, wife is an established realtor down there, broker in the Raleigh area. Why would you uproot and leave, that business, and move cross country, whatever? Because there's rumors about Seattle and Ron Francis and all that kind of stuff. So Rod Brindamore is still in Carolina, but the team. The owners, I would say, I wouldn't say cost conscious, but yeah, maybe that he is a little cost conscious. Several of these veterans becoming free agents. One of them signing with the New Jersey Devils, Brett Pesce, and he let Dougie Hamilton go a few years ago, also signed by the New Jersey Devils. I wouldn't say that they're in a rebuild year. I think they're in more of, let's say, it's kind of like, I'm trying to think of an animal where they shed their skin or something like that, and they're just kind of reloading right now.
Or what about like a phoenix? A phoenix dies and then is reborn from its ashes.
Something like that. That's a much better description than, when a dog sheds or whatever. But you get the point. I just feel this team is still dangerous in the Metropolitan Division because they are coached by Rod Brindamore and because the owner is, I would say, money puck, very smart with his money, realizing that you don't want to be tied down to big contracts, aging players, that they were willing to move forward, as painful it is, so they can have the next generation of good teams in Carolina. So that's how I feel. And even though David K says the snake sheds its skin, yes, that's what I was getting at. But Carolina, I'm still afraid of them. The Devils should beat them tonight. Second half of a back-to-back. That's also what we're looking for. But right now, the Devils are getting the scoring. They're playing as a team. They're getting their scoring from the bottom six and unlikely sources like Seamus Casey, because I did not think a rookie could come in and rip it up like Cale Makar in his first 5 games with the team.
Yeah, I mean, Carolina, you look at their lineup, and it's got a lot of strong pieces. I like Sebastian Aho as a number 1 center. I think he'd be he'd be like the highest of high-end number 2 centers. Kind of the way we view Nico Hischier. Nico Hischier could be a number 1 center on any team in the NHL. But if he's a number 2 center, offensively at least, then you're really golden, and that's where the Devils stand. Jack Hughes offensively is the number 1 center, even if it's not listed that way on paper. Their wings, good. Svechnikov, Jarvis, Roslovic, Nietzsche, even Martinook and Carrier have had good years. Jordan Stahl as the third-line center is really good. Their defense, it was weakened last year by losing Pesce. They still have Brent Burns. Slavin's one of the 20 best defensive defensemen in the NHL. They added Gostisbehere. I really like this Jackson Blake kid. He was supposed to play for the Chicago Wolves. I'm a little annoyed he didn't start the year in the AHL because I don't get to see him, 5 minutes that way. But he's in Carolina. Good for him. I'm sure he's happy with it. I don't like Kotkaniemi as the number 2 center. And I think that is where the Devils can kind of feed off of them in this game. They could kind of take advantage of the center depth with the way that they've played so far this year. If they're hard on the puck, I think that could be something that they take advantage of. I like what you're saying about Carolina. They don't feel as dangerous as they were the last handful of years. You know who they remind? They remind me of the Eastern Conference Avalanche. The only difference is the Avalanche won the cup in their prime before reaching this point. The Carolina Hurricanes came close to reaching the Stanley Cup final, a couple conference finals appearances, but they never got over the hump. But it's like they're in a transition year. They still have all their stars. It just doesn't seem like the depth is what it once was, and they're retooling on the fly. They're not going to be a bad team by any means, but coming into the year, I picked them to come in third in the Metropolitan Division. That would be a step down from where they've been over the last handful of years, because I feel like they've either come in first or second in the division for like 5 straight years now. Except there was that year the Devils, yeah,
Well,
the Devils, or no, Carolina won the division when the Devils played the Rangers in the playoffs 2 years ago in the first round. So, like, they're a really good team. They're going to be hard to play against. You brought up Brindamore, outstanding coach. He's going to lead them to some wins. But it's the year where the Devils should kind of take over a little bit.
yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. Remember when the Devils, they had their record-breaking season in points, and the following year they shed some of the weight. Damon Severson traded out. Ryan Graves, see ya. Knowing that they wouldn't be here long term and they didn't want to lock themselves down to fat contracts that would devalue over time. And I think that's what was happening with Carolina. They still have the core pieces there. It's kind of like the cliche of addition by subtraction. But I think that cap space that they would have gained by not re-signing some of their players, like Nason, who is now a New Jersey Devil, I think right now they're retooling and then wait and see where the team stands in January and February to see if are they contenders without these re-signings, and if they are, how can we give them an additional boost with I would say the extra cap space that they would have saved, by not re-signing some of these players. Like not having Brett Pesce in their lineup going into the playoffs, that's a big loss. Even Nason as well. But maybe they could pick up other players on the cheap on trade deadline to help fulfill that role without paying that long-term contract that, both players did getting out of Carolina.
Yeah, absolutely. So you come into this game and you just hope that what has helped you win in the last handful of games, it's a 2-game winning streak. They've won 4 out of 5. You be hard on the forecheck. You try to get Jack Hughes going offensively. I know he's got 3 points. Like, he's not been terrible. There are a couple crossbars, but I'd like to see him really get going in this game. Like, go out there and score a goal, maybe 2. And then the floodgates will open. He'll be one of the league's leading scorers, points per game leaders again. And then once that happens, this team could really be off and running.
To tell you the truth, I don't even care about Jack Hughes scoring.
No, because it's about winning.
It's about winning, and if he's playing well defensively and is not a liability,
which he has been.
Yeah. And I mean, a couple things that I want that I'm watching is the shorthanded chances going the other way. I mean, for years the Devils would give up so many shorthanded goals and shorthanded chances. I like to see that mitigated, and a lot of times it's I would criticize Jack Hughes as being Mr. Turnover. The Jack Hughes I want to see is, remember there was a 2-year period where Jack Hughes was like an absolute thief with the puck, where he would just poke it out, and then he's running and gunning the other way.
Yep.
I like to see more of that. I don't want to see Jack Hughes use his body. I kind of want to see Jack Hughes use his brain and use his finesse more. Let the other guys grind it out, but let Jack Hughes be Jack Hughes. And, again, if Jack Hughes is not a liability, I think that's a plus. And right now, Devils stand at 4-1, 8 solid points in the Metropolitan Division. They in a few hours from now, they could be 10 solid points, 5-1, and we're not even out of October by any stretch. That's 10%. That's you want to get at least 100 points to end the season. You'd be 10%.
I think that's the mark of like an elite team.
Yeah. You're 10% there, and you're not even like close to being, October 31st. That's insane to me.
Yeah,
This is a fast start.
Absolutely. And last year, they kind of got off to a good start too. It was 7-3-1, but it wasn't. I think it might have even been 8-3-1. It was nasty feeling though. That comeback against Detroit, Jack Hughes had 22 points in his first 10 games or whatever it was. It was like, well, what if Hughes wasn't unrealistically productive so far? Because 22 points in 10 games is unrealistically productive. McDavid doesn't have that level of points per game, and McDavid's the best player in the world. And spare me their little 0-3 start. They'll be in the Cup final before I think they miss playoffs, honestly. But it's different this time. It's like Hughes isn't off to this great start and they're still winning. So what happens to when he rises up and he starts having, his typical Jack Hughes point per game level production? Well, Paul Cotter's not going anywhere. Stefan Nason's not going anywhere. Do I think Paul Cotter's going to win the Rocket Richard like he's on pace to do? No. But do I think he could score 20 goals as a third-line winger? Absolutely. He's already a fourth of the way there. So maybe he could go even above and beyond and be one of the top productive third-line wingers in the league. We'll see how that goes. But the depth on this team has carried to them to where they are because the top guys are coming. Heischer's been incredible. Not even so much offensively, just his two-way game. It's been amazing. I like what Bratt and Meyer are doing. They're the two top wingers on this team. Mercer's getting into it a little bit. Hamilton hasn't produced at all yet. He hasn't played bad defensively, but the offense hasn't been there for him. And that's coming. It's kind of the defenseman version of Hughes. You're going to add, I never in a million years thought that I would wonder on October 15th, what is going to happen when Luke Hughes and Brett Pesce come in? If you would have told me before, let's pretend it's October 1st, Vinnie, what's going to happen when Luke Hughes and Brett Pesce are healthy? Well, that's easy, Sam. Kovacevic is going to be in the press box as the seventh defenseman, and they're going to send Seamus Casey to the AHL so he can work on his game. No, not so fast, young man. They have 8 defensemen worthy of being in the lineup every single night. So my logic now is just Hughes, Hamilton, and Dylan and Pesce, those guys are locks, and then you rotate the other 4 in and out of the lineup, keep fresh legs in. You got a back-to-back, let's bring 2 fresh defensemen in. I think it's more of a blessing than a curse by a lot.
Well, that's what we call depth. It kind of reminds me of during this Nick Saban years of University of Alabama, where the fifth-string quarterback could actually play in the NFL. You had that much depth. Yeah, it's actually a happy problem, a problem that the Devils have not had in a very long time of this kind of significant depth. And it's young depth as well on the blue line. Again, when you draft Nemec at second overall, and then you draft Casey, and also you've got Luke Hughes. This was part of Tom Fitzgerald's plan, that pipeline, and if the Devils can actually sign Ethan Edwards out of Michigan after this, after the collegiate season, the Devils, they're going to have to, because otherwise he's going to be a free agent. I think it was by August 15th. But, that Michigan pipeline is serving the New Jersey Devils so well. And we're talking about the next decade, folks. The next decade of 3 pairings of just elite D guys. And assuming that, again, they drafted a monster to replace Shakir Mohammedullin, out of Russia. I forgot his name, Anton, something like that.
Silyev.
Yeah. And then they drafted a goalie, again, in the second round as well. You would think that there's going to be a developed goaltender in the farm system at some point 3 to 5 years from now. So, again, I'm getting ahead of ourselves as we're getting top of the hour for Devils take on the Carolina Hurricanes. But, again, it's like you're watching this all unfold, but Seamus Casey was the X factor. And if he continues at this pace, Celebrini is out. He's on IR for a little bit. And we got Seamus Casey that's absolutely ripping it up. Looking like Brian Rafalski out there. Just the size,
Seriously.
the
Oh, yeah.
skating. Skating is very fluid. It's a privilege to watch. His puck handling, his vision, where he's putting his shots. It looks so like Brian Rafalski. It really does. And Brian Rafalski, former New Jersey Devil, played with Scott Niedermeyer, Scott Stevens, and Ken Danico, Colin White. Those days, I mean, he was like fourth on the depth chart for Rafalski.
Yeah.
Which was crazy.
The thing I like remembering about Rafalski, too, is kind of how he was like, he kind of bridged the transition of it was him, Brodeur. I think Langenbrunner was part of it a little bit, and Scott Gomez at points too. That bridge from like the teams in the late 90s and early 2000s that won cups to the Zach Parise, Ilya Kovalchuk era, where they didn't win the cup, but they were a really, really good core. They kind of like bridged the gap there. I'm a big Rafalski fan. I would love if Seamus Casey was part of that conversation.
Oh yeah, and you know what? You never know. We might have Brian Rafalski on this podcast.
That'd be cool.
Actually, NY Davey, I think Rafalski went to Wisconsin. Didn't he go to Wisconsin?
I believe Rafalski went to Wisconsin, yes.
Yeah.
I remember seeing his jersey in the Raptors when I actually went and saw Seamus Casey and Luke Hughes play with Adam Fantilli 2 years ago. You might remember when I did that.
Yeah. I remember, and you were telling me, Sam, the future's bright. All right, we got to get to our predictions because we're past the top of the hour right now.
Yep.
I gave you 7-3 prediction yesterday, but it was actually the Mets prediction. I got that one right, but Medford Devils.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think of that.
I'm like 7-3. I was like, didn't I think of that? I was like, oh, no, that was Game Day Live. Whoops.
That's
Wrong
funny.
Game. So get your predictions in. YouTube Live, we got to be chop. We got to be quick about it because we got.
Yeah,
we
let's
gotta
go. Let's go.
All right. NY Davies says 8-2 Devils.
Ooh, against the Hurricanes. That'd be something. That'd be a quality win.
Select the boy 4-2 Devils. Tom says 4-2 Devils. A lot of confidence from our fans. 3-3 tie shootout game tonight, says Joey B. Those are some predictions. All right, Vinny. Give me your prediction for tonight.
I'm just going to keep it short and sweet today, Sam, for the sake of time. 3-2 Devils. Go get a quality win, a close win, score some goals. Jack Hughes, play good D, Markstrom in net. 3-2.
Wow. 5-4 in overtime, says IDK. Evans says 5-4 Devils. Shroom White says 5-3 Devils. Nason hat-trick. 4-0 Devils, says Corbin. Yeah, we didn't really mention too much about it. Jake the Snake Allen getting the shutout against Utah. Again, shutouts used to be a thing of the past, but with this goaltending, this is a true 1A, 1B here. I'm glad to see that happen, and I don't feel as nervous. So I'm gonna like Mike Rossi saying 2-1 Devils. I'm gonna say 4-1 Devils tonight.
Ooh, 4-1 Devils.
4-1 Devils, but it's gonna be 2 empty netters. That's just how I feel.
So you're seeing it my way in a sense of like it's going to be a close game.
Yeah, it's going to be a close game, but somehow the Devils...
Tight game, good defensively,
yeah.
Squeak out a win.
Yep. So that's what I think. Joey B says, I'm so old, I went to games in the Meadowlands Arena when Tom McVie was the coach. Little Bub says 3-1 Devils. Evan says a bunch of homers in here. Yes and no, Evan, because the Devils are
4-1.
Yeah, they're 4-1. What do you want us to say? They're due for a loss. 8-2 Carolina.
I challenge Devin. This is my homework for you. Go find Let's Go Devils podcast episodes from late last season or the entire 2021-22 season. Picked them to lose basically every game.
Yeah. Yeah, those were the days. All right, it's game time.
Truth.
Chop, says Tom. Later,
let's go.
Game time. All right. Well, I want to thank all those tuning in to this podcast. We got Devils After Dark on time after the game. Yeah, not Devils After the dark, but Devils After Dark.
Devils After Dark, like literally after dark, like it's morning now.
Yeah, or as what Ted says, Devils After Daylight. And go to joinourcrew.com for the latest. Sign up. There are people signing up, Vinny. It's awesome. They're just signing up.
It helps you. It helps you keep up with the show.
Yeah, I mean, that email
The most
blast.
efficient Join Our Crew email blast came out a couple days ago. I saw that, and I was like, brilliant. Obviously, the Stadium Series, but, like, besides that, a couple days ago. That was incredible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, so Scotty at SiriusXM, Liquid Mel, and I will recap the game that was. And, Vinny, thank you so much. I'll probably see you Saturday, Vinny, but because of scheduling conflicts, so be Short Sky and I this Thursday. Max says 4-2 Devils. Till next time, let's go Devils.